So now we continue with another live interview here on stage, ladies and gentlemen, and we change from Switzerland to night trains in Europe, and we are here in Vienna, of course, an important hub for night trains in Europe, especially for the ÖBB Nightjet. But now we don't want to talk about the ÖBB Nightjet, we want to talk about the European sleeper, Elmer van Buuren. Please come to me on stage. Hi. Elmer, great to have you here. I was really looking forward to our talk because I'm very interested in new companies and startups, especially in the railway sector. So let's start with our first question. You started this year with European Sleeper, am I right?
Well, it's fair to say that we started the first service this year, but we didn't start with the company this year because otherwise we wouldn't have managed. We've been working on it since 2020.
Okay, you started the service, so can you give us an update? What are your first experiences?
Well, the first experience is actually that's going really well. The demand is really good, especially considering that we're doing almost everything by ourselves in terms of sales at the moment. And especially in the summer it was a real success, also due to the fact that we are also offering Interrail and Eurail users to use our train, for instance. What is really challenging is to run the service in a qualitative matter with the rolling stock that we have, because we're renting rolling stock, it's old. I mean, I have to be fair, it's really a challenge to keep it up and running. And what is really a challenge as well at the moment is that the sales, we really need, as the minister also said, it's a collective endeavor, and we need the sales channels to be expanded, and we need also in the home markets that the incumbent operators will sell our train. They're happy to do it, but it's a bit slow on the implementation, I would say.
You talked about challenges yet. Are there specific challenges for you as a new market entrant, or challenges at the market?
Absolutely. The main challenge is, of course, that we do not have the track record of running trains for 180 years, and we do not have the enormous backing of a huge set of assets. So that means that if we want to expand our network, we will need to invest in those trains, and we cannot do it just by ourselves. So we need really to find a way how we can invest in rolling stock, how we can expand this network, because if we want to meet the climate goals, we need more trains on the lines.
I think you started a crowdfunding campaign, or investing?
Yeah, we did it 3 times. We raised 4.5 million euros altogether from the crowd, which I think is quite a achievement. But then again, with 4.5 million euros, you can buy hopefully 2 carriages, and a train is longer than 2 carriages, as you know.
I also got a mail some months ago with the invitation to invest in European Sleeper, and so I was really looking forward to this question because so many people interested in investing in a night train. Of course, I think. Yeah.
No, it's true that many people are very enthusiastic about the night train, but now what we see is that it is really challenging to make the switch from being very enthusiastic and wanting trains and to actually taking part in this endeavor. And this is what we see at the moment. We are preparing our next line already. We're working very hard to see if we can launch as soon as possible Amsterdam, Brussels, Barcelona, which is a really interesting line. I don't need to worry about the demand, but we need trains for that. And in order to get those trains, we need investors and banks and European Investment Bank, and we need everyone to get on board and to participate in this project. And there they say, let's see a bit how it's going with your company. Yeah, with what? Yeah. You know, with which trains are we going to demonstrate that? We can demonstrate it now with the first line, and we're very happy to do it. And I think this is also the reason why we got started. We want to move away from the PowerPoint stage, and we want to go to the real stage. And I think we show that we can do it. We pull it off. Every train that should have run has run. But we need to expand, and that means that also I also heard a remark about being more risk-taking, and I really like that one. I can tell you we are doing that massively. We're putting everything on the line. So we are quite... But it also means that we need to have other people that join us in taking that risk, because otherwise it's not going to fly.
European Sleeper is working on a new route between Amsterdam and Barcelona. I think also with support of the European Commission. Can you give us an update on this project?
Yeah, for sure. Indeed, the Amsterdam, Brussels, Barcelona project has been selected as one of the European Commission pilot projects, which I think is a great support. It doesn't mean that you get everything on a silver plate. It basically means that the European Commission is very curious and that they are always present and that they can help you raise some issues. At the moment, we are still aiming for this line to be starting in 2025, but I can be very honest that that is a very big challenge, and it's the question if it will really work out. And the main issue here is basically twofold, and they are connected. The first issue is that in order to run this train, we need trains, as I already mentioned. And in order to get the trains, you need to get funding. And in order to get funding, you need several things. One is they need to be convinced that this market is a market that is here to stay. The night train product is here to stay. I think that's checked. Are we capable of doing what we do? I think that is also slowly being checked. We show, that's why we started with the first service. We want to show that we can run a train. That's checked. The third one is, can you produce your product for the next 10 years? And this we cannot promise, because in order to promise that, we need to have the security that we will get track access capacity for the next 10 years. And there is a very good system for that, which is called framework agreement. But unfortunately, the framework agreement is a bit like a book of Kafka. You're allowed to ask for it, but you're not obliged to get one. So, and that is something where we really need the support also. This is why we set up this pilot project. We set up a coordination group, and we have done it all by ourselves, telling everyone, you have to join us now. Ministries, infrastructure managers, European Commission, we're meeting really physically together because we need to have this involvement also from the member states and from the infrastructure managers to cooperate on this.
Thank you very much for this update and the insights. As I said, I'm very interested in new companies and also the perspective of new companies. And what do you think is the role of a new company, a new market entrant in the success of rail travel?
Well, I think that I'm not, let's say, pro-incumbent, pro-new entrant per se. I think it's the combination that does the job, because what new entrants can do is stimulate new developments. If you look at examples that are already well established, like Italy, you can see, and also Czech Republic, you can see that when new entrants, also by the way Austria, I mean I almost forget to mention Austria, but Westbahn I think has also done a great deal in stimulating, showing that things can be done in a different way, inspiring, and I think that that is the role of new entrants. And the other role of new entrants is that if we want to have 2 times more passengers in, well, that's the goal of the European Commission, is high-speed trains, but I translate that as long-distance trains, because large parts of Europe do not have a high-speed network. If you want to have 2 times more passengers by 2030, 3 times by 2050, it means that you also need at least 20 to 50% more trains, because you can maybe use the existing trains in a bit more efficient way, but there is a limit to the capacity in the trains. And I think that it's impossible that only the existing operators will fill this demand for more trains, and I think that the new entrants can help with that.
Unfortunately, we only have 10 minutes for our talk, but I've one more question to you. I've talked with Veronique about creating new offers and services to attract people to public transport or to trains. Your opinion as an entrepreneur, how can public transport think differently to attract customers for I would say, long-term success in rail travel?
Well, what we, I think, forget is that the whole experience, well, we don't always forget it, but often I see this happening. It's not just about the train product and the train journey itself. It's about knowing that the offer is there. It's about being able to find it properly. It's about being able to book it properly. Then having a train journey where if something goes wrong, you also get the information, what do you need to do? And it's about the after-sales process as well. If something has gone wrong, you need to be able to get your service, to get everything straightened. And this kind of focus seems very obvious, but in reality it is not obvious. And I think that what we can learn as a transport sector is that maybe we are good at running the trains, but maybe we are not so good at selling, and maybe we're not so good at IT. So maybe we should allow third-party vendors more into the landscape. Maybe we should allow that, the data that we need in order to provide the services on board is given to those parties as well. Because if you want to run a, let's say, A to Z experience for a passenger, you also need to have real-time data, for instance, because you need to be able to keep this passenger in your app. And they need real-time information during the journey. And this is something, if I still see operators that say, I'm not going to give my real-time data to anyone, that's not going to help, attract more people to the train. Because if you want to attract your own customers, that's fine. But you can attract 10 times as many customers if you allow other service providers to sell your product. And this is really something I think we should improve.
Elmar, thank you very much for the interesting and, of course, funny talk to you.
Welcome.